Bedtime Stories for Kids, The Little Prince. When I was 6 years old, I saw a picture in a book about the jungle, a boa constrictor swallowing a wild animal. I drew my own version and proudly showed it to the grown-ups. "It's a hat," they said. But it wasn't a hat. It was a boa constrictor digesting an elephant. I drew another picture of the inside. "Stop drawing," they told me. "You should focus on things that matter, like arithmetic and geography." So I gave up art, and I became a pilot instead. Years later, while flying over the Sahara Desert, my engine failed. I crashed. Alone, with barely enough water for 8 days, I set to work repairing the plane under the sun's blazing heat. Then, on the first morning, as golden light poured over the dunes, I heard a voice behind me. "Please, draw me a sheep." I turned sharply. There, standing in the sand, was a small boy. He had golden hair, a scarf that fluttered in the breeze, and eyes that held stars in them. What are you doing here?" I stammered. "Draw me a sheep," he said again, gently but firmly. I blinked. "But what are you doing in the desert?" He didn't answer, just looked at me, as if I was the one who had to explain. So I took out my notebook and pen. I drew him a sheep. He frowned. "This one is too sick." I tried again. "No, this one has horns. I don't want a ram." Another attempt. "He's too old." Frustrated, I sketched a box and scribbled, "The sheep you want is inside." His face lit up. That's exactly how I imagined him. I stared at this boy, this mysterious, wonderful child, and realized my life was about to change. "Where are you from?" I asked. "A tiny planet," he said simply. "So small, you'd need a telescope to see it." "A planet." He nodded. "Asteroid B612. And that's how my days with the Little Prince began, in the middle of the desert, with the sound of wind in the dunes, and stories that felt like dreams. As we sat under the desert sun, sharing sips of water and stories of stars, the Little Prince told me about his home. "It's very small," he said, "just big enough for me and 3 bedtime stories for kids, 2 active the Little and 1 that's extinct. Though you never know." He smiled wistfully. "And a flower." I looked at him. Something in his voice changed. "Tell me about the flower." He was quiet for a long time. Then he said, "She was very beautiful. She grew slowly, from a tiny sprout, and when she opened, she wasn't like any other thing I'd ever seen." He closed his eyes, remembering. "She was proud, and a little vain. She would cough to get my attention, and pretend to be cold to make me bring her a glass globe for warmth. But," he paused, "she was also shy. She never said she loved me, and I was too young to understand." "So what did you do?" "I left," he whispered. "I decided to explore other planets, maybe learn something new." "And did you?" "I learned that I loved her, but I had already gone." On his journey, the Little Prince visited many strange planets. On one, he met a king with no subjects. "I am the ruler of everything," the king proclaimed. "The sun, the stars, all obey me. May I sit down?" the Little Prince asked. "I command you to sit," the king replied grandly. "That's not real authority," the prince muttered. "You only give orders that will be obeyed." On the next planet, he met a vain man who demanded admiration. "Clap for me," he said. "Say I'm the most handsome, but you're the only one here." The prince said, "That's enough." The man beamed. The third planet was home to a drunkard. "Why do you drink?" the prince asked to forget. "Forget what?" "That I drink." The fourth planet belonged to a businessman who counted stars and claimed to own them. "What do you do with the stars?" "I write the numbers in a book. That makes them mine." "But you can't use them," the prince said. "I can count them." The next planet held a lamplighter, tirelessly lighting and extinguishing a lamp every minute. "Why do you do this?" "Orders," the lamplighter said, "and I must follow them." "You are the only one I admire," the prince said softly. "You do something for others." The final planet was inhabited by a geographer, a man who wrote about mountains and oceans but never left his desk. Do you know if there are flowers on Earth? The prince asked. We do not record flowers. The geographer replied. They are ephemeral. They don't last. My flower is ephemeral, the prince said quietly, and I left her behind. Visit Earth, said the geographer. It's a large planet. So the little prince did. And that's how he ended up in the desert, with me. After walking across deserts and fields, the little prince arrived at a garden full of roses. Thousands of them bloomed in the sunshine. Pink, red, golden. He stopped in his tracks. They all look like her. He stared at the flowers, stunned. She told me she was unique, he whispered, that there was no one like her in all the universe. But here, there are so many. He felt a sadness grow inside him. I thought she was special. With heavy steps, he sat down in the grass and cried. Just then, a voice drifted from the wheat nearby. Why are you crying? A fox stepped forward, golden, elegant, with wise, curious eyes. Who are you? The little prince asked, wiping his tears. I am a fox, he said simply. Play with me, said the little prince. I'm so lonely. I cannot, the fox replied. I am not tamed. What does tame mean? The fox tilted his head. It means to form a bond, to need each other, to make someone special to you, different from all the rest. The little prince thought about his rose. I think I understand. If you tame me, said the fox, then I will know your footsteps from all others. I will know your voice and the rustle of your coat in the wind. And I will miss you when you're gone. And I will miss you too, said the prince. So they sat together every day. At first, far apart, then a little closer. They shared stories, apples, and laughter. They learned the rhythm of each other's hearts. And then, the time came to say goodbye. I'm sorry, said the prince, but I must keep going. It was bound to happen, the fox said softly, but now, I have wheat fields, golden like your hair. I will remember you when the wind passes through them. The little prince's eyes filled with tears. Here's my secret, said the fox, stepping close. It is only with the heart that one can see rightly. What is essential is invisible to the eye. What is essential is invisible to the eye, the prince repeated, and the time you spent with your rose. That's what makes her so important. She is my rose, the prince said, even though she never said she loved me. She did, said the fox. In her way. You just didn't understand then. The little prince hugged him. Thank you for taming me. And with that, he continued his journey, carrying the fox's secret in his heart. Back in the desert, I listened as the little prince finished his story of the fox. We sat side by side beneath the stars. My plane still wasn't fixed. Our water was almost gone. We should look for a well, I said. He nodded. So we walked, the sand whispering beneath our feet. The night was calm, the stars so bright they felt close enough to touch. Stars are beautiful, the prince said softly, because of a flower you cannot see. I looked at him. You miss her. I'm responsible for her, he replied, even for her thorns. We walked in silence until morning, and just as the sun rose, we found it. A small well, hidden among the dunes. He smiled. This is not just any well. It has a pulley, a rope, a bucket. It sings when you draw water. I pulled the rope, and the bucket rose, heavy and sweet-smelling. He drank first, then I followed. The water was cool, more refreshing than anything I'd ever tasted. What makes it so good, he said, is the journey we made to find it. Then he looked at me. Tomorrow is the anniversary of my arrival here. I came from the sky, remember, I must go home. My heart sank. How will you go? The same way I came. I know the place. It's not far, but you'll die. He shook his head. My body stays behind. That doesn't mean I'm gone. My body stays behind. That doesn't mean I'm gone. I'll miss you, I whispered. You'll look at the stars, he said, smiling, and you'll hear me laugh. I'll be one of them. All the stars will laugh like bells. I couldn't speak. It'll be our secret. You'll have stars that laugh. That night, he walked alone to the place he'd pointed out. I followed from a distance. Then I saw it, a yellow snake, slithering silently through the sand. I wanted to cry out, "Stop it!" But he looked back at me and shook his head. He stood tall. The snake struck. He fell gently, without a sound. The next morning, his body was gone. I searched. Nothing but sand and silence. But when I looked up, the stars smiled. And sometimes, when the night is clear, I still hear his laughter. Many years have passed since that night in the desert. I repaired the plane. I returned home. But not a day goes by without me wondering, did the sheep eat the flower? I draw the box again and again. I check to see if the rose is safe. And when I look up at the stars, I remember, what is essential is invisible to the eye. And I listen for the laughter of my friend, the little prince.